if you're still living according to who you thought you should have been, or who you think, okay, well, this is just who I am, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a disservice to yourself, and you're not in alignment. And the reason why you aren't in alignment and you feel it is because you know it's something better out here for yourself. You already know that, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, the limiting beliefs creep in, and they start talking you out of the trueness of you knowing that you deserve more and that you're capable of more. Welcome to the Girl, It's All in Your Head show. I'm your host, Dr. Daryll, and I teach women to break limiting beliefs and get unstuck by tapping into the power of their subconscious mind, leading them to be the woman that they thought they could never be. Are y'all ready for this today? Now, let me say this to you, and I already know you sitting here going, what do you mean self-care habits that no one has ever taught you? Because self-care is going to get a massage, it's going to get your nails done, it's, going to the movies by yourself. That is incorrect. Self-care is not something that you do once you are depleted and you need your cup filled back up. Self-care is what you do to maintain safety, keep yourself anchored, and always be able to only give from your overflow. That is true self-care. So, I have a list for you. I've come up with 5 things, 5 habits, 5 tips, whatever you want to call it, that no one has taught you for self-care. Okay, let's get into it. I'm not the one to make y'all wait. Okay, so the first thing I have is real care is your inner dialogue. Now, the voice in your head, if that voice is harsh, always judging you, making you feel like you're not good enough, lighting a candle is not going to fix it. Going to get a massage, that ain't going to fix it either. Okay, so real self-care is focusing on and changing the dialogue that you have with yourself. All right, and at the end of when I'm talking about the inner dialogue, I'm going to give you a question to ask yourself so you can say, am I practicing that? Or, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, now, self-care begins with how do you speak to yourself? When you walk past a mirror, are you like cringing or are you smiling? Or do you feel confident when you look into the mirror? What's going on in your head? I used to be that person. And you know what? I won't even say I used to be that person. I'm going to say the person that I am now, those moments are few and far in between. So for those of you who don't know, I had what's considered a failed weight loss surgery. My highest weight was 674 pounds. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment for you. Yeah, I know. It sounds amazing. I've lost over 400 pounds of physical weight, but I have lost countless pounds of emotional weight. That is where the winning lies, okay? Not in the physical weight. The winning lies in the emotional stuff that I had, and I lost all that stuff, okay? So I have loose skin. That's something that happens to a lot of people who have had weight loss surgery, particularly if you started at a really high weight. You cannot tighten that skin up like that, okay? Of course, if you exercise, and I did, it could have been worse, and it isn't. But right now, I'm at a point where I want to get my arms done, right? My elbows hurt. Sometimes I have to buy a bigger shirt because the arms, the body fits, but the arms are tight. That just makes me mad, okay? So sometimes when I walk past the mirror and I should give it a nickname, but I love it because it sustained me, right? It's part of who I am. Here you go. Y'all, I'm going to introduce you into her. Okay, it's there. It shakes. It's there. It's part of who I am, and I love it because it's me, right? And so, but it knows that it's getting ready to go. It knows because I speak to it. It knows that it has served me. Thank you for your service. I no longer need you anymore. Okay, because my elbows are hurting. However, sometimes when I walk past a mirror, and I'm always thinking I'm cute now. Okay, that ain't the problem. And then I see the arms. Let me take some water. Yeah. I see the arms and I see it just flapping and I'm like, dang, I'm ready to get rid of them arms. You know, those thoughts come in. Those are your everyday thoughts that your inner voice, you know, you're always talking to yourself. Anybody that says that they don't talk to themselves, either they are not being truthful or something is wrong. Okay? We all talk to ourselves inside our head all day long. So if you are in a pattern of, you know, and I'll use myself as an example. Every time I walk past a mirror or I put my coat on, I hear that little sound, you know, if it flaps or something, and I'm so harsh with myself about it, it's not good for the rest of my body. It's not good for my little heart to be hearing, you know, oh, your arms are awful. The heart is not going to feel like, well, dang, if she could say that about the arms, what's she saying about me? Words are powerful. And I know y'all probably laughing, but I'm dead serious. We have to speak better to ourselves. And so I just wanted to share that I am guilty of it as well. But I'm able to just snap back, honey. You know how they say, well, they have two sayings. If you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. And if you, and this is just recently, I found this somewhere, I can't remember, but if you say a negative thing about a person, then you must say 3 positive things after that. And it works really well for me. Okay? So if that thought does come in my mind about myself, I do it with, you know, other people too. I'm going to say three fabulous things about me. Okay? 3 fabulous things that I love about myself to counteract that negative energy, emotion that I just put into my body, into my energy, into my little old bubble over here. And I don't want it in there. It is important. Okay? So you want to make sure that, you know, you checking that inner voice and you're making sure what kind of instructions am I giving my nervous system about our world and our energy. Because whatever you put out, you're going to get back. And that works in so many ways. I'm not even talking about karma. A lot of people would speak about karma. That's, you know, your impact of how you treat other people, how it comes back on you. Well, guess what? It's probably 1,000 times worse in how you treat yourself. Karma is a you know what. Okay? So I'm talking about what you put out about yourself is what you get back. Because your mind, y'all know that's what I talk about. That's what we do over here in the Be Her Collective. That's my membership group. And the Girl Is All in Your Head show. We talk about how do you make sure that you are surrounded by love and making sure that your actions match your thoughts. Okay? Now, you don't have to make sure, because that is exactly what happens. If your thoughts are negative, you're going to input or output negative things. You're going to output habits that don't serve you. If you constantly say, oh, I eat too much and I'm just too fat, that's what you're going to do. You're going to continue to eat too much, and you're going to continue to always think of yourself as just being too fat. And your actions are going to make sure that that happens 24/7. Come on, y'all, tap in. You got to tap in. Tap into the power of your subconscious mind. You can change anything that you want. Now, I will say this. If you've been doing damage for years, it's going to take a while. And some things are irreversible depending upon what they are. Okay? But you can at least have a better life. Even if you can't change one thing. I may not have the funds, right, to have the skin removed off my arms. So let's say, I can't use that as an example, y'all. In my heart, I can't use it because everything always works out for me because everything happens for me. So I'm gonna have whatever I need to get this skin removed off my arms. I couldn't even go through with that example because that's not how I think over here. Anything that I want, I can have. Now, let me tell you, it took me a long time to get to that point. A long time. And that started with changing the dialogue inside of me. Nobody taught me that. Nobody said that that is a form of self care because we're quick to say we're sorry so fast. And even that's powerful. So I'm to the point where I most likely would say, I apologize if, I bumped into you, whatever. Like, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. There's nothing sorry about me. There's nothing sorry about me. And I know people will say, oh, well, that's just something that we say. Well, guess what? If you want better, you got to do better. So if that's just something that I just say, and then you think that you're a sorry person, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not. Because I'm not sorry. I feel sad that you feel that way, that you cannot change a phrase that's not good for you to say just because you've been saying it all your life. You could decide right here, right now, I'm no longer going to say that anymore because it doesn't serve me. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down over here? All it takes is a questioning of yourself. Why? Why do I have to continue to keep saying these things? Oh, it's no harm, but it is. It is if you haven't leveled up. It is harm if it's keeping you stuck and you can't break free from the limiting beliefs that are plaguing you every single day, and you can't even come home and be at peace with who you are and be happy with just sitting right here just with you and be elated. I'm elated to sit with me. Oh my gosh. God created me. That makes me worth every single thing that I want. All right, I'm going to have to move on, y'all. I have to move on because y'all know I'll be here all day. I got my notes here. I mentioned the body, what kind of way. Your body responds to those things. And what I mean by that is you start to do the actions of whatever you're saying to yourself. You may not even notice it. But, if you always say all the time, oh, I'm not a morning person, I'm mad in the morning. Why would you say that? Who wants to start their day off being mad? Sometimes when I see people, and I do this often, because, you may stop somewhere and get tea. I would have said coffee, but I don't drink coffee. You may stop and get coffee or something, and the cashier is like nasty. And it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm saying to myself, well, God dang, what happened? What happened in the last like 2 hours that you woke up like that? So now, the old me would have been like, I would have maxed that energy, right? So if you mad, okay, I'm madder. Now, I don't do that. I go up higher. Y'all know what the first lady said, the real first lady, what she said, right? When they go low, I go high. So I try to be the opposite because I always want to make people feel better. So if I do come across someone like that, I'm going to say, your hair is cute. I'm going to give them a compliment. I'm going to throw them off so fast. They're going to have a better day. It's better for your heart. That can be another show. I get ideas just from talking out loud. All right, so here's the question for this first one. Okay, let me repeat it. Real self-care is your inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself? You want to make sure. This is the question. If you met yourself, right, two of y'all, you met yourself and you spoke to yourself the way you speak to yourself inside your head, would you feel safe with you? Would you let yourself go somewhere with you? I know that sounds crazy, but y'all get what I'm saying. Okay? Think about it. How mean we can be to ourselves. Would you send your child with your inner voice? Oh, that's a better question. Oh, I gotta write that down. Let me write that down so when I do this again, would you let your baby go somewhere with the inner voice in your head? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your question now? What, yeah. Yeah, I just snagged some edges with that one. I just snagged some edges. All right, let's move on. Number 2 is self care is identity protection. So when you abandon who you are to keep the peace, your body keeps score, right? So if you are trying to say, I'm going to be, my self care is that I'm going to be somebody new. I'm going to pretend to be somebody else. Now, y'all not going to be able to make me eat my words because I say that all the time. In order to be her, and her is that woman that you thought you could never be, you got to act like her, walk like her, talk like her, pretend, because your subconscious mind has no sense of time. It's non-linear. That's not what I mean here. What I mean is if you keep switching up and you know that you're truly not the person that you are trying to be, the body knows. That's why you have to start with something simple like a meditation that you may listen to. I got one for you. The link is in the description. Just a meditation that you listen to every day, and it's eventually it's going to go deep inside your subconscious mind, and that's just a small way that you can start. Then you start with the affirmations. And yeah, of course, you may not believe them at first. It's okay. Y'all see the one that I have? This is my first one. I am disciplined and focused. Girl, I didn't believe that. Not one bit. And when I speak, I go and I speak, and I always tell that story about, yeah, I would say I'm disciplined and focused. I didn't believe it while I was driving. I was disciplined and focused. While I'm listening to my music and dancing, I'm disciplined and focused. While I'm sitting on the couch watching somebody else on YouTube exercise, honey, I was disciplined and focused. But because I said it all day, every day, before I knew it, I was a little bit more disciplined and focused. My actions started to follow my thoughts. It's just as simple as that. Now, y'all know who I'm truly talking over here. It's women over 40. Now, I don't have nothing against somebody that's 39 and younger. I love y'all, okay? I love y'all. And I hope that you guys are listening as well, because it will save you the problem, the trouble, the headache of later on having to change your mindset. Go ahead and change it now. Okay, go ahead and fix it now. That way, honey, your entire life will be fabulous. A lot of women around my age, we're like, this ain't working, y'all. This ain't working. I want something better. I want to feel good every second of the day. So I'm really talking to, if you've been stuck in your ways and it's easy for you to say, oh, well, that's just the way that I am, I'm talking to you, okay? So self-care is, you have to make sure that you don't contradict yourself on a daily basis, okay? If you're still living according to who you thought you should have been, or who you think, okay, well, this is just who I am, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a disservice to yourself, and you're not in alignment. And the reason why you aren't in alignment and you feel it is because you know it's something better out here for yourself. You already know that, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, the limiting beliefs creep in, and they start talking you out of the trueness of you knowing that you deserve more and that you're capable of more. We inherited limiting beliefs. I just talked about that in the last episode about something that one of your parents used to say, and you just grow up believing it because, that's your mom and your dad. And all it takes is one question for you to say, Where did that come from? Maybe even have a conversation with your mom and dad to say, you know what, growing up you used to say this. Where did that come from? I bet you $1. No, I'm betting $1,000,000. They heard it from their parents. You know, we often speak of breaking generational curses, and those curses are often like not finishing school or having a teen, you know, being a teen mom. We don't talk about the generational curses of mindsets. How about we break those? Okay? How about we break those? Because let's be clear. Back in the day, for us as Black Americans, African Americans, however how you want to identify yourself as, brown people, black people, when we were fighting for civil rights, those people knew that they were worth every single thing that they wanted. And look what they did. Look what they did. They knew. They were like, nah, we tired of this. We know that we deserve every single thing that y'all getting. Who y'all think y'all are? Right? You want that type of questioning in yourself. When you get too comfortable, that's why I always question myself. And sometimes I'm thinking I am the breaking limiting beliefs queen. And guess who's sitting over here sometimes with limiting beliefs? But if I don't bring them up, if I don't identify them, if I'm not constantly doing inner work, those things may never even pop up in order for me to even question them. Because we go throughout our day as we are already. You don't wake up and say, oh, let me think of all of the possibilities of who I can be today, even though that would be something good if you put in your journal. Maybe that's a journaling question that you ask yourself every morning. What are the possibilities of who I can be today? Journaling is fabulous for resetting your mindset and bringing up things that you probably or may not even have thought about to address. Because it just doesn't pop up. In the meantime, you're thinking, oh, I can never have my boss's job because she has 5 degrees and I only have 3. But I'm more knowledgeable about her. I have more skills than she does. And you don't even question it. And she about 3 years from getting ready to retire. And you just thinking, oh, I wonder what my next supervisor going to be like. When you know you could do the job with your eyes closed. Because if she or he is a good leader, you could do their job. That's part of their job, is building capacity in the people that they lead. That's a whole nother show. Okay. So let me read this from my notes. Real self-care means giving yourself permission to live in alignment with who you are today, even when it disrupts old patterns or disappoint others. That's a good one, honey. When I sit here and write this stuff, sometimes I'm just writing. That's a good one. Now, here's your reflective question. Where am I betraying myself to avoid discomfort? We don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to fail. Fail is your opportunity to learn. Like, it's okay. Go back to that child mentality of, jumping off the bed with a cape on and, you think you get ready to fly. And you don't care if you hit the floor and you hit the floor hard. You just roll over and then you just start running with your cape, pretending that you're flying. Get back to that state of mind. I often refer to kids because kids already know it all. Like, because it is innate in them. Like, they just know it. And then we come, girls don't speak loudly. That's not ladylike. Some of us we just need to, yeah. All right, let's move on. Hey ladies, if this episode stirred something within you and you're ready to get started, go to the description and click on the link for the Be Her meditation. It is a starting point for you to start to just get to know yourself a little bit better and reset that mindset. And if you're looking for something deeper, I am getting ready to open up applications for the Be Her Collective. In this membership group, and I'm only allowing 25 women, and I want to make sure that all of the energies match, because I need your help to make sure that I am addressing all of the needs of women over 40 who feel stuck and feel like they know everything what they need to do, but they just cannot seem to get unstuck. The application for that is also in the link in the description in the bio. I appreciate you guys staying to listen for more. The third one I have is real self-care is your circle. Now, if you're here on this show, I hope you watched the show before this where I talked about boundaries. Self-care is having boundaries. Knowing who should be in your inner circle. And I'm not going to spend a long time on this one. Go back and watch the show before this. Okay? But you got to be careful and you got to be strategic about who you allow full access to you. Self-care is having the boundaries and knowing that the people that are in your inner circle are people that deserve to be there. Now, I don't care if it's your mama. If she's negative, she should not be in your inner circle. Don't throw her away, but put her in the back. Put her in another circle in the back. Circle 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 20. Put her in the back. Because you're never going to be able to have that true self-care of knowing that the people that are surrounding you, they're going to tell you the truth, but they're going to back you up as well. You want those people in your inner circle. You want to be very like, nah, I don't know if I'm going to give you full access to all of this. Yeah, you don't get full access to all of this, okay? Because I done seen you. I done seen how you reacted to some really good news of mine, and you act like you were so mad about it, jealous, whatever you want to call it. You couldn't even hide it. Couldn't even hide it. Y'all know how when President Obama got elected, that's when all of the blatant like racism and racists really started to come out. They couldn't hide it. They were so mad. They couldn't even hide it anymore. Okay. All right. You don't want somebody like that in your circle. You don't want somebody that when you're telling them about your new business idea and it seems crazy and they don't even hear you out to see why you're passionate about it, or to say, you know what, come on, you want me to sit with you and let's map it out. How could we make it happen? That's who you want in your inner circle. That is who you want in your inner circle. Okay? All right, here's your reflective question. Who do I shrink around? Who do I exhale around? Y'all, that was good. And I changed that. And I'm glad I kept it. So who do you shrink around? Because sometimes, because you know we are always being better friends to others as opposed to being a friend to ourselves. And we want our friends, because we love them, we want them to do well, we will dim our light a little bit so that theirs can shine. So who are you doing that with like all the time? They shouldn't be in your circle. You're not responsible for brightening up anybody else's light. Now, you could give them advice just like what I do. You know, I kind of sort of, when I think about it, I help women to brighten up their lights. I can't do it for them. All I can do is share the information and share my stories. You'll often hear me talk about me because I live this stuff. I am a living testament to when you tap into the power of your subconscious mind, how you can level up and how you can walk into any room, no matter who is in the room, and still feel like, oh, I belong in this room. My goals may not be the same, but the energy, I belong in this room with the same energy, right? Maybe my energy is a little bit better. I don't know. I'll have to observe because, you know, I could read other people's energy. I may decide, no, this ain't the room for me. Nah, I can't level up in here. I gotta go to another room where I can level up and improve myself. All right, so you got to think about who do you dim your light around, and who are you able to just and you can be vulnerable with, and you can share with them, like my new thing, and I am so excited about it, and you'll see the link to this. I'm doing Color Connect Center. This is a hypnotic coloring experience where I'm going to blend meditation, light hypnosis, and just self-care, and just the coloring and see how I'm getting all excited thinking about it now. But when I first thought about it, I was like, what grown woman is going to color? And then I started looking into art therapy, and I started looking into, when I was journaling, I'm like coloring on the size of my journals, realizing how meditative it was and how it allowed me to go within. So I created the Color Connect Center, and I told a couple of people about it, and they were like, hey, we need that. Then I had one friend that was like, well, who would want to color? Tell me more. That's an inner circle person. And after I explained everything, and she was like, oh, I get it. She was like, I've never colored before, but when you say it like that, that sounds good. And then she even said, I still don't think it would be something that I would be interested in, but the way you have it laid out, it sounds really good. That's a person that I want in my inner circle. She ain't coming. It's not for her. She ain't dimming her light for me. And I'm still going to do my Color Connect Center because I ain't dimming my light for her. That's an inner circle chick. Okay, that's an inner circle queen, beautiful. I want her in my inner circle. Do your boundaries. Okay, be very clear about your boundaries. All right, the fourth one, we're coming down to the stretch. The fourth one is real self-care is staying centered to who you are. Now that was a good segue. When I just said, don't dim your light. You're gonna stay centered to who you are, even if right now you're questioning that, right? Because at this point in our lives, for women over 40 who have been just, you've read all the books, you've watched all the videos, I say you done had the ugly cry, all that stuff, and you just cannot seem to just move forward and forget about this version of you, of who is keeping you stuck. But you still have to be centered in her, right? Because you got to be centered in her in order for you to start to make the identity shift to who you want her to be now. That woman that you thought you could never be, that woman that you see, and you see her in your head, but you see her like she is out of reach. Instead of picturing yourself as that woman, picturing yourself in those things, because you've done the work and you've listed those things out, and you have affirmations for those things, and you do visualizations where you see yourself being this woman that you thought you could never be in your center. So you want to stay centered even with the version of you that you are wishing to change. You are wishing to change up her identity and level up. Okay? So it's not who you're needed to be, but is who you are. It's not who you used to be years ago, because we all have changed, but you still might not be exactly where you want to be, and that's fine. That's okay. But you got to be able to still come back to her without all these all these other people and these other people's opinions and their facial expressions, and you worried about when you walk into a room how they looking at you. Girl, look, go ahead, keep looking, because you're always going to run into types of people. And it doesn't make them bad because guess what? They have learned these things too. So they don't know what else to do either. But now you're going to level up, right? You're going to level up for yourself, and you're always going to be able to come back and be centered and making sure that that self-care, no matter who you come across, because you're going to come across people that don't match your energy, and that's okay. But you're going to always be able to come back to who you are, because you're not going to allow other people, their opinions, their judgment to change the center of who you are. You know, I could listen to people say a whole bunch of stuff about me. Now, I haven't come across it, but I'm sure people talk about me. We talk about it. Everybody talks about everybody. I talk about people. And some of the things that I may say, I would never want that person to hear what I said about them. You know, I may have been in a mood because I'm human, right? I may have been whatever, and I didn't really like what they said, and I'm just like, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna. They're not this, and this, and this. I would never want them to hear what I just said because that was just based on a moment, right? So you want to make sure that it doesn't matter what anybody says about you or what you think they're saying about you. Because let's be honest, even though I just said everybody talks about people, and we do, but probably, I'm going to say 7 out of 10 times, ain't nobody thinking about you. You thought that they don't like you and they done did something to you, and I think I said this in the last show. I gotta come up with some new with some new examples. I said, you know, you sitting around worried about what somebody said or what they feeling like, and they over sitting in happy hour having a happy time, and you over here worried about they're not even thinking about you. So guess what? You shouldn't be thinking about them. You should always be able to come back to the center of who you are. So here's your reflective question. What brings me back to me? What brings me back to me? For me, it is the consistent meditation. It is the consistent self-hypnosis where it allows me to go in deeper into my subconscious mind so I can get at the root of everything, because at my age, I'm done. The rest of my time here, I want every second to be fabulous. Every second to be fabulous. So what do I need to do to always bring me back to me? That is self-care. If you are consistently putting everybody else in front of you, and that's not self-care. How do you get back to yourself? And it can't just be a massage, unless you're going to get one every day. I mean, it can't be getting your nails done. If you like your nails done, that should be something that you just do. Like for me, I like my nails done, and y'all see I'm a plain Jane. I don't even get a lot of things on my nail. I'm not even flashy, but it makes me feel good. It makes people say I got these long skinny fingers, and it makes me feel good. How do you get back to yourself? It has to be more than going to dinner alone or getting your nails done. That's all I'm saying. Those things are good to do. I'm not telling you not to do those things, but it can't be self-care. Okay, it can't be self-care. Don't call it that, because it's not. Okay, and the last thing, real self-care is consistent. Being consistent, consistency, not occasional relief. It's not I just talked about it. It's not going to get a massage, and like I went and got a facial done, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks ago. That was the best facial I've ever had in my life. And I'm so mad at myself because I forgot to make my appointment. Like, I'm going to go back every month. And that's what she told me. I said, how often should I come back? She was like, oh, your skin is beautiful. I was like, oh, thank you, girl. So I can go once a month. It was the best facial I've ever had in my life, right? And I may even tag her in this, because y'all need to, and I will tag her in it. Y'all need to go, and if you're in Maryland, go and see her. She's out by BWI, and she is fabulous. Best facial I've ever had in my life. That wasn't even self-care for me. That was just me being consistent with what aligns with who I am. Right? So it's not an occasional thing. It's something that's going to make me feel good. But the true self-care is being consistent with inner work, being consistent with the mindset that you want. I just mentioned the facial because it popped in my head. But again, that is not self-care. That is something that I just deserve. Because I like going to get my facials done. Real self-care is for me to have the mindset to know that I'm worthy of going to get my facials every month because I love the way it makes me feel. That's the mindset of knowing that I'm worthy of getting a facial. There's a difference. So I'm always going to be able to say when my well-being is non-negotiable, getting rid of toxic people. You at a job and it's toxic. Start looking. It's not worth it because it's going to hurt you in the long run where you won't even be the best version of yourself to make better decisions for yourself because you are like tied down with all of this other foolishness that you accept. So it's not an occasional thing. It is something, if you know, let's say you went to Color Connecting Center. Yes, let's say you came and you're like, I never even thought that coloring would help me to regulate my nervous system and reset. And you come to the event and then you never color again. Even though you know those 2 hours that you were at this event, and I'm having a virtual one coming up, by the way, and it helped you, and then you leave and you never color again. Come on. You got to be consistent. You don't have to have no big old coloring book either. And I'm just using that as an example. If you know that breath work helped you, if you know that just sitting with yourself for a few moments, listening to your favorite, gospel music in the morning or your trap music in the morning, and it settles you, but you don't even get up 10 minutes early to do it, even though it's going to set a fabulous intention for your day, and you just don't do it. You have to be consistent. A lot of us are not consistent. Find your tribe. Find your tribe. I'm getting ready to open up for founding members of my Be Her Collective, my membership group. I'm getting ready to open up the application, and I'm only taking 25 women because I want to create this group and mold it and help people that if it's something meditation and you know it helps you, you may get a text from me in the morning that you meditate today, or one of your sister members is going to say, hey, I'm getting ready to meditate. Who wants to meditate with me this morning? I want to create that tribe, that collective, so that people have that space, because we tend to dismiss it so easily, even though we know that it helps us. And so I just felt that there was a need for that, hence that's why I created it. So here's your reflective question. What would change if my well-being was non-negotiable? The other question I had, and I chose to go with this one, but the other question I had, if you knew that you could not fail, what would you wake up tomorrow and go and do? If you knew that no matter what you did, no matter what the outcome was, no matter what skills you did or did not have, you are not going to fail, what would you go and do? That was powerful for me. Yeah, I think I needed to hear that. What would you go and do if you knew that you were not going to fail? I'm going to change that question to that. What would you do if you knew that you weren't going to fail? The other question was okay, but yeah, what would you do? All right, so in ending, I want to close with this. If self-care feels hard to you, It's not because you're doing it wrong. I don't want you to think that. It's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you were taught that self-care was something that was extra. You were taught that self-care was something that, you give yourself a treat every now and then. You are not a dog. You're not a puppy. It is essential for you to have true self-care. True self-care. Not a massage, not a facial, but true self-care where you tap into your power, your inner power, and making sure that your mindset is straight, that you're able to walk into any room and shine your light as it is. No comparison with anyone else, just you. Because you know that you are enough right here, right now, at this very moment. And I believe in you. I believe in you because you're here. If you watch this to the end, I already know that you are a person who is ready to level up. And hopefully you learned something today and you go ahead and schedule all your massages and your facials. That's not for self-care. That's because you just deserve it. That's because you just cute enough to have it. Okay, so I always like to end with this. If you want to be the woman that you thought you could never be, think different, be different.